Speaking of the historical teams in NBA 2K, obviously they've done a great job with them over the years, but it was pointed out on Reddit, and Dommy73 actually posted the link in the forum to the thread on Reddit, and a list has been compiled of the players that are missing from the historic teams. And of course, 12 new historic teams were added in NBA 2K16. Just taking a look at some of the lists now. '07 of the 2008 Rockets missing Rafer Alston, Luther Head. Celtics 2008 missing Posey and House, J. Brown. So there's some pretty noteworthy players missing from some of these historic teams. The 2004 Pistons are missing Rasheed Wallace, Mehmet Okur, Corliss Williamson, and Mike James. I mean, big parts of the rotation.
Yeah.
2001 Lakers are missing Derek Fisher. Of course, Wallace is missing from the 2000 Blazers. Fisher off the '97 Lakers as well. Byron Russell's not on the Jazz, so it's hard to recreate.
Yeah, you can't.
Randy Brown, Scott Burrell missing from the Bulls. Eric Snow from the Sonics. Anthony Mason, the late Anthony Mason, not on the 94-95 Knicks. Carl Herrera not on the Rockets. Stacey King not on the early '90s Bulls. Let's see any other the 84-85 Bulls. No Orlando Woolridge, Gene Banks, or Juwan Oldham. Of course, no Charles Barkley on the Sixers squad. Well, that's kind of the way it's always been. No Pat Riley on the '70s Lakers. So some key players missing, and it makes you wonder. I mean, obviously there are also a lot of historical players in the game headed up by Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and so forth. So it's not like it's not worth doing these at all. But do you think once it gets to a certain point, I mean, look, they've added the 2004 Pistons, and yet they're missing 3 or 4 players from the core rotation, and you kind of wonder, was it really worth adding that team when you can't add those key players, including a starter in Rasheed Wallace?
I think, yeah, I can agree with that. And, it just sort of seemed like an unfinished effort sort of thing. So I don't know.
Like, is it better to not have the team at all as opposed to have it in such incomplete form?
Yeah, if it was like the bench reserves, like position or position slots like 12, and then you go to injury roster part, then that's okay. I mean, I can understand that, but when it's the
key starter,
key
six man,
then you sort of like, well, you as a player you might go, well, what was the point? So I can see that side of the argument.
So do you think? I mean, I don't think it's going to get much better with it being able to get all these players into the game. I mean, likeness rights obviously are an issue at this point. So do you think it's come time that maybe the historic teams have had their day, or maybe they should just be whittled down to a few that can be complete, or do you think it's just extra content? So I mean, it's sort of neither here nor there.
Well,
I mean, I guess it's more important that they get all the current players in the game.
Yeah.
Especially that being such a problem with NBA Live, with the roster updates this year. But
I mean,
again, people like the historical teams; they want them to be complete. So
I think like if potentially teams are taken out, it could be that double-edged sword where people would complain that, oh, we used to have this content one on more sort of thing. So
people they'll complain if they're taken out. They'll complain if it's not complete, and some people don't understand that likeness rights are a thing. So it's tough. I mean, I'd probably leave them in there, but I think if you've got teams where you can't add like half of the proper players, then maybe they're not really great candidates to add.
Yeah.
So,
but I know personally there's a few teams that I'd like to see, that haven't been added in and all that stuff. So, taking out that sort of feature entirely in that would kind of suck in that. But it's just, I can understand maybe they might not have been able to get the likeness or the rights this year, this year that's just passed and that. But hopefully for the next game, it's like, oh,
or maybe they can. Yeah, that's the thing. And of course we can. Well, we don't really have the roster editing tools to really do it properly at the moment, but in theory, with a moddable game, we can put those players in the game. So So we'll see how that goes in future years. Whether they do decide whether it's worth keeping it up, or whether they'll do cut down the numbers of teams if they lose enough players. I mean, if they lose the rights for enough players, they will have to start removing some teams completely because otherwise they're just going to be all John Smith and all the other fake players that fill out the rosters. So we'll see how that goes. But speaking of historical teams, I did write a Way Back Wednesday article this week talking about the hidden teams in NBA Live 08, the Easter egg, which the leftover data from, because it seemed like NBA Live 08 was going to have the historical teams at one point because there's all the data for them in players DBF, and but nothing, no art assets, nothing in the teams database file. But because you remember that was the year NBA Live 08, they introduced the FIBA teams.
Yeah.
And I theorize, and I'm not the first person to suggest it, of course, but talked about the theory in the article Way Back Wednesday this week about how it looks like the FIBA teams, especially because they reference them getting the license late, that the FIBA teams were kind of a backup idea to not being able to put the historical teams in there. So check out that article if you're interested in one of the more fascinating Easter eggs that we've ever discovered, and perhaps useful, especially since I've put some of the players to use for my Ultimate Jordan roster, still in beta. But check it out. It's an interesting topic to go back to.